Thank you. I know it's a real pleasure to be here today. I've been fascinated by all the conversation so far. I was going to pick up where some of the last panel left, which is the absolute tragedy that the world is not on course to keep temperatures below 1.5 degrees. I, like Gavin Schmidt, am a climate scientist, and it's genuinely heartbreaking that we, as climate scientists, have been warning of the threat of climate change for more than 30 years now, and the world has just not responded with the scale and the speed that's required. I love being on panels like this, therefore, because exactly these sort of panels, and I think we've heard it just from Giles just now, are where you see hope in what is otherwise a rather dismal picture. And it really is the case that there are innovations that are exploding from our universities and research centres around the world that are driving forward the green transition. And I thought I'd just share a few of the examples.
Please do, yeah.
From my own institution, Cambridge University. So Nyobolt is a venture that's spun out of the university, which is producing ultra-fast charging batteries for electric vehicles, for data centers, and for advanced robotics. If we look at another example, Zampla is creating plant-based bioplastics to replace oil-based plastics. Carbon Re is looking at producing AI-enabled solutions to decarbonize heavy industrial processes like the production of cement, glass, and steel. Another company called Materials Nexus is also using AI and also quantum-enabled approaches to look for net zero solutions. Lambda Agri is creating coatings for greenhouses at industrial scale. They're able to adjust to sunlight and therefore increase plant productivity. And one of the latest ventures to come out of the university, Neutrino, is looking at tackling global supply chains and looking at how you can both reduce costs and emissions at the same time through advanced modelling. So that's just some of a multitude of examples of things that are coming right now out of university institutions. And in fact, we have a report that we're publishing next week that has started to map some of those just in the Cambridge ecosystem, and we've identified almost 250 current startup ventures just in the Cambridge ecosystem. So imagine scaling that up across the UK, across Europe, across the world, quite how much activity is now happening in this area. And it's happening all the way through the pipeline and up at the research lab bench as well, where we've got research activities looking at increasing the efficiency or the environmentally friendliness or the economics of photovoltaics or carbon removal technologies, and looking at how, at a systems level, all the different relevant aspects can be integrated together. So it's not just about technology, it's about how that technology sits in a wider environment that involves the infrastructure, involves the policy environment, involves the finance environment. And that's from everything from looking at how to enable sustainable road freight or sustainable aviation through to nature-based solutions, bringing in the nature element that's been mentioned a few times today as well. So at least from my perspective, where I'm sitting, far from feeling that the green transition is derailed, actually, at least in terms of the innovation agenda, it feels as though it's racing ahead. And actually, the competition is to be gaining the prizes on the podium, and who is going to be, who is going to be successful in that sense, rather than feeling that somehow the green transition has been derailed. This is a story of hope and opportunity in what otherwise feels as though it really is a story of a gloom and despair, given the climate threats that we've seen starting to play out around the world. Okay,
fantastic. Thank you very much. And believe me, hope is extremely welcome on this podium and in general, I suspect, at times like these. The point you raised is brings focus, I think, onto one of the dilemmas of how you frame this discussion. Because undoubtedly, you're correct. Undoubtedly, the pace and breadth of technological discovery at the moment is dazzling. It's extraordinary what's happening. So that much is certainly true. And as a species, we do have this bizarre characteristic that when technology is just in the future, we're fascinated by it and dazzled by it. And when it's just in the past, we completely take it for granted and as if nothing happened. So that's our problem as humans. But it's also true, that while all this activity is happening in clusters like Cambridge and others all around the world, we're missing the 1.5 target. We're perhaps losing, we're being pushed back on the very argument that climate change matters and that it's an urgent priority. So these are two existing realities. They both happen at the same time. So it's great that we have cause for optimism, but it's also true that there is plenty to concern us and plenty of things that are driving the urgency of some of these innovations coming to market, coming to scale, and changing the picture in the future. So that's my presentation.
Well, and the critical thing that sits between those two different pictures, policy and finance.
Yeah.
Because you need, we've got the innovations coming through from the universities and other research centres. So the kind of ideas and the innovations and the creativity is there. What needs to happen is we need to have the policies and the finance to take those innovations and allow them to scale up and to outcompete existing vested interests.
Excellent. Thank you.